Welcome to the fourth Final Cut screencast. In this screencast, we're going to be going over bringing elements into the timeline. Now, as you can see, I've already dropped in 2 clips onto the timeline, and I have made a bin in the browser called Clips, in which I've placed all of the subclips that I made in the last screencast. Now, as you might imagine, there's more than one way to bring a clip into the timeline, and we'll be going over most of them today. Let's start by double-clicking on a clip in the browser. This brings it up in the viewer area, and we can play through it. And if we wanted to, we can set new in and out points to further constrain what we're bringing into the timeline. In this case, we're going to leave it as is. Now, the first way to bring something into the timeline is simply to click and drag on this image and bring it over to the canvas area, and then these options pop up. Insert with transition, overwrite with transition, replace, fit to fill, and superimpose. So let's do the first one, insert. If you'll notice the playhead on the timeline, it is in between the 2 clips that are there. It's in between Derek Medium working and Derek Medium editing. So if we let this go, inserts it at the playhead, and the new clip is now in between those 2 original clips. Okay, let's undo real quick, and now we're going to overwrite. Overwrite is as it sounds. It will overwrite any existing clips that are on the active video and audio layers. So the new clip, Derek Detail Copy Editing, overwrote the existing clip. Replace only works when the clip that you are working with in the viewer is longer than the clip that is on the timeline, and it will take the place of, it will replace that clip. So Derek Detail Copy Editing is now there where Derek Medium Editing used to be. And you can see not the entire clip did not make it onto the timeline. It replaced only to the point that Derek Medium Editing stopped on the timeline. So we'll undo that. And fit to fill is similar. Let's do that. But in this case, now it says Derek Detail Copy Editing 123%. And that is because the clip that is in the viewer currently has been sped up to 123% so that the entire clip will fit into the space that the previous clip took up on the timeline. We'll undo that. And lastly, superimpose. Superimpose will superimpose the clip in the viewer on top of the clip that is in the timeline. There you go. It is above Derek Medium Editing. Now, if you noticed, when we did either the overwrite, the fit to fill, or the replace, it was always on the same video and audio layers that Derek Medium Editing is currently on. And that is because those are the layers that are currently active, and you change that over here on the left. Right now, this video, audio, and audio are associated with V1, A1, and A2. If I were to bring this up to V2 and bring these down to A3 and A4, and I were to overwrite, it would go on the video and audio layers that are currently active. At the same time, if I only wanted to bring in video and not audio, I could simply unclick the 2 audio source buttons and overwrite, in which case only the video would come in, or insert, in which case only the video would come in, and it would push back everything that was below it. It would insert it in between. So that was the first way to bring elements into the timeline. The next way is fairly similar. It's you have a clip in your viewer, and then you have these buttons on the canvas area, and these buttons are the same as the buttons that you saw when you dragged the image over it. And pushing these buttons does the same thing. Insert, overwrite, replace. Well, there's no clip right there because we're on V2. Let's go back to V1. replace, and if you hold down on this call out here, there's superimpose, there's fit to fill, and there's insert and also overwrite with transitions. You also see if I mouse over something long enough that descriptive text and the hotkey comes up. So F9 would be to insert. Right. F9 would be to insert. F10 would overwrite. And so on. Now the last way to bring something into the timeline is independent of where your video and audio source buttons are located, though it does matter if they are on or not. And that is to simply drag an element from the browser straight onto the timeline, like so. That's it for this screencast. In the next tutorial, we'll be covering using text in Final Cut.